What's up, guys? Ballroom boxing. So let's fucking talk boxing. So let's recap last night's fights. The ones that I actually got a chance to see actually. The Gary Russell Jr. and Jojo Diaz fight. Good fight. Jojo Diaz is a great fighter. The kid has a lot of grit. But Gary Russell Jr.'s ring IQ was too much for him. He has much more experience. He's a much more skilled. He's a much more skilled fighter than I think Jojo Diaz's camp, thought he would be. He posed a much bigger challenge for Jojo Diaz. Gary Russell Jr. showed that even fighting one fight a year, that if he puts his mind to it, or when he puts his mind to it and starts thinking in the ring, that he can make good shit happen. I don't see too many cats beating Jojo Diaz. The kid has skill at the weight class. He has skill. He seems to have a pretty decent chin because Gary Russell Jr., I believe, knocked out his last three opponents or stopped his last three opponents. He doesn't go 12 rounds often, so that says a lot to his power and his punching acumen. Gary Russell Jr. had a brilliant game plan. Jojo Diaz has a lot of holes in his defense. He does not move his head. I always have an issue with fighters who don't move their heads, who don't try to parry punches or, just slip them slightly, just slip punches slightly to the side, slip to the side slightly or, or try to roll underneath punches. He did have some he blocked some punches, and take a little half step back or lean back or something like that to avoid certain punches. But and he would use the high guard, when it came to Gary Russell Jr., jabbing him, which Gary Russell Jr., when he got away from Jojo Diaz, started to become a lot more aggressive. Jojo Diaz, even though he was walking through Gary Russell Jr.'s punches, or not, he was walking forward. I wouldn't necessarily say walking through his punches, but he was coming forward. He wasn't punching with Gary Russell Jr. because even though he was coming forward and it didn't look as though Gary Russell Jr., visibly hurt him, I think Jojo Diaz has a good poker face because here's my thing, and this has been my experience training in boxing and shit like that. When a dude won't punch with you, it's because, it's common knowledge. If a dude won't punch with you, it's because he's afraid of getting hit. Your power is enough for him that he doesn't want to take that chance of getting caught out there. So he waits for an opportunity to counter you. He tries to back you into a corner and tries to smother you, or get you against the ropes and try to smother you so you can't get extension on your punches or something like that. And that's what it looked like Jojo Diaz was working for, because when Jojo Diaz would start to really work and land pretty good body shots on Gary Russell Jr., it was only when he felt Gary Russell Jr. was against the ropes and had nowhere else to go. Then he would start letting loose. He waited on Gary Russell Jr. way too much. He didn't utilize his jab hardly at all. But I think even if he would have, it would have gave more openness to Gary Russell Jr. He has good hand speed. Excellent hand speed. I'm not really, big. I don't cream in my pants every time I see a dude, do a real good shoe shine or some shit like that. That is what it is, punch placement is more important to me. Proper punch placement, accurate punches, punches having a thudding effect. Hand speed is very important, don't get me wrong. And speed equals power in boxing, But it was all in all, it was a good fight. I think, like I said, I think Jojo Diaz loses nothing. This was a good experience for him. I think because the kid is a student of the sport, I think this is a good experience for him. He's going to take a lot from this fight and become a better fighter in the future. Like I said, I don't think there's too many dudes in the weight class that's going to beat him. Now, Gary Russell Jr. and Lomachenko. Gary Russell Jr. and Lomachenko are, I don't know. Who can say whether that's going to happen? Is Gary Russell Jr. going to be willing to go up to 135? Because I think Lomachenko's career should end at 35. I'm not saying that he should retire now. I'm just saying that if he goes up to 140, 147, he's going to get dog walked. Somebody's going to end up breaking his fucking face open. I truly believe that. Look at his last fight. He got dropped. How many times did he get dropped in that fight? Once? Twice, I think. But I know the refs weren't calling whatever fucking bullshit ass referees, man. Fucking slime ball ass bitches. But anyway. And listen. I don't know who's going to win in that fight. he beat Gary Russell Jr., you know, even though the excuse is, I shouldn't say excuse, or the reason, excuse, whatever you want to call it, the reason why Gary Russell says that he didn't win the fight was because he was dehydrated. And his father kind of backs that up also. I have heard, you know, it said that, you know, he's trying to preserve his body and his hands and everything and yada, yada, yada. You know, but I think the real issue, because I think they were trying not to make excuses on that fight. But anyway, fuck all that. He was dehydrated. I'd like to see the fight again. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to see Gary Russell Jr. move up in weight successfully and fight him again. I'd like to see him, you know, I'd like to see him avenge that L. You know, Vasyl Lomachenko isn't not concerned with avenging the loss that he has to Salido. And I think because he's scared and he doesn't want none of that action. To be honest with you, Salido just outworked him. And that's how you beat Lomachenko. That's how you beat him. You got to outwork him. You got to be aggressive. You got to walk through his punches, you know. I mean, listen, Lomachenko stops dudes, you know what I'm saying, because of an accumulation of punches. He's not a single shot knocking you the fuck out, you know what I'm saying, having you wobbly and woozy in the ring. He's not that dude, man. Gary Russell Jr. has been that dude in his career. Tank Davis is that dude, you know what I'm saying, who will hit you with a shot and completely change the tempo of the fight. You know, like I said, it's an accumulation of punches with Lomachenko. I thought Linares was going to walk through those punches or at least punch with Lomachenko. He didn't do that. What a huge fucking disappointment that was, because he talked all that shit, right? But anyway, he didn't do what Salido had the nuts to do, which was, you know what I'm saying, come forward and punch with this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to fight or anything like that, or telling any fighter with their professional program and their professional trainers, you know, what to do or what not to do. But if a dude isn't hurting you with his punches, why the fuck are you worried about getting hit? Put your motherfucking hands up and come forward. You catch him out, you see this motherfucker with an opening, you catch his ass. And Lomachenko has lots of holes in his defense. He has a lot of holes in his defense. A lot of holes in his defense. A lot of them. He is not as quick as he is, as quick, as swift-footed as he is, because he has fantastic footwork. And he's an excellent boxer. But he leaves a lot to be desired with his defense a lot of times, which is why he got his chin checked and got dropped. Anyway, I think Gary Russell Jr. should move up and fight him. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. And I know some people are probably thinking what my opinion is on Lomachenko being a pound-for-pound fighter. And I'm going to tell you guys straight like this. Pound for pound for me means unifying a division. Becoming undisputed. That's how you get on pound for pound so far as I'm concerned. Everybody has a pound for pound list. And if you don't know this now, I will tell you. Pound for pound lists are completely fucking subjective. They are based on everybody's opinion because everybody makes their own criteria for what a pound for pound list should be. Everybody makes their own criteria. Everybody makes their own criteria. And everybody thinks that their criteria is fair and reasonable because everybody's ego is tied into the shit. So everybody believes that their word is bond. Your opinion is bond because it's your opinion. That don't mean shit. Because that's why there's always these constant back and forths. To me, you want to be pound for pound? Unify division. Or at least have the majority of the belts. You know what I'm saying? At least. And maybe I'll consider it based on your resume and what you've done. But you want to be pound for pound, you got to unify division. You have to unify division. You know, Terrence Crawford unified his division. That put him on the pound for pound list as far as I'm concerned. He unified his division. He beat everybody with a belt and took their belts before moving up in weight to 140. Can he do the same thing at 140? I don't know. But Lomachenko has a long way to go, and the kid has 12 fights and 1 loss. So how can he possibly be pound for pound #1 in the world when he has a loss? He has 12 fights. He has a loss. And he has not unified a single division. Now, people talk about Lomachenko's resume. And, yeah, he has some names on his resume. He has Gary Russell Jr. on his resume. But was Gary Russell Jr. a pound-for-pound fighter when he was beaten by Lomachenko? Because I would think that that's a sure shot way of becoming pound-for-pound, is to actually beat a pound-for-pound fighter. Like, and Gary Russell Jr. was not pound for pound when he fought Vasyl Lomachenko. He did beat Guillermo Rigondeaux. Guillermo Rigondeaux was starved out because of Bob Arum. I don't believe Bob Arum likes black fighters, and I'm going to just go on record as saying that. Fuck it. I'm not scared of Bob Arum. His old raggedy ass can't beat me. I don't think he likes black fighters because he doesn't promote black fighters properly. He does not promote his black fighters. And whatever little promotion he does is fucking horrible. It's terrible shit. It's terrible shit. You know what I'm saying? He's just there for the fucking payday. He doesn't really give too much of a fuck about promoting you. But at the same time, though, I will say that Bob Arum is a good promoter because he does build good careers for his fighters, whether they're black or not. The promoting their fights aspect, it's a little lackluster, I think. But he does build. He does help you build a great career. He did it for Floyd. When Floyd was with Bob Arum, Floyd had a pretty decent resume. You know what I'm saying? He built up these fighters. You know, Oscar De La Hoya. You know what I'm saying? So I will give Bob Arum credit for at least that much, right? But anyway, I'm supposed to be recapping the fights, and I'm going off on this tangent. But I'm talking about this is because it's all interconnected when you start talking about Gary Russell Jr. and then him possibly fighting Lomachenko, and because it was mentioned, you know, there's a couple of good interviews out there with Gary Russell Jr. talking about that. Now, the Badou Jack and Adonis Stevenson fight. Great fight, good fight, close fight. I think Badou Jack not only beats Adonis Stevenson in the rematch, but I think he stops him in the rematch because he was on the verge of doing that shit. He was on the verge of doing it. That fight can't happen in Canada again. I don't like those Canadian refs, man. I don't like them, man. I don't like those dudes, man, because their bias is so fucking obvious. You know what I'm saying? And that shit is sickening and disgusting to me when you can't get a fucking fair shake. I hate that kind of shit, man. I don't give a fuck about no hometown advantage. You know what I'm saying? Or, I don't care about none of that shit, man. If you getting your motherfucking ass kicked or doing something that you shouldn't be doing, you should be getting reprimanded or penalized for that shit. All that hometown favorite shit, I think that shit is pussy. You know what I'm saying? I think you are less than a man when you can't be stand up and have your integrity judge some shit fair and appropriately. You know what I'm saying? I think you show your hand as a dude with negative testicles. To be honest with you, if your only reason for going with somebody is because of, or rather not going with them, but scoring or judging a competition unfairly is based on your bias, then you are making a mockery of the position that you hold. Everybody has biases. I have biases towards black fighters because I'm a black man myself. So I have biases towards black fighters. I want to see all my brothers win, all my sisters win. I don't give a fuck. I want to see them all win. And so fucking what? So what? You know what I'm saying? Every other group cheers for their group. Why should I be ashamed to cheer for mine and have a bias for mine? You know what I'm saying? Look. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. Anyway, Badou Jack, Adonis Stevenson. I think Adonis Stevenson, I don't think he's going to fight Badou Jack again. I think if people put it to him where it starts to insult his manhood, he just may do it. He just might. I think that quite a few people are going to be chomping at the bit to get at Adonis Stevenson because they saw what Badou Jack did, and it didn't look good for Adonis Stevenson, man. And if it wasn't for that body shot that he landed in the 10th round, Badou Jack would have took that fight. It would have been a close decision, but he would have won those last few rounds. You know what I'm saying? He would have, because he was already on the verge of winning those rounds anyway before that body shot. You know what I'm saying? Kind of took the steam out of him. Good fight, great fight. Badou Jack wins in the rematch. Stops Adonis Stevenson within 10 rounds, I believe. Because now he knows what he has to do. I think he's going to go out there and implement a completely different game plan. You know, even though he is a late starter, I think he will be a lot more active with his punches. You know, like, sticking the jab and setting him up for the 1-2. You know what I'm saying? At least that's what I would hope he would do. At least to make it look good to the judges that he's working. Because he gave up the early rounds. He gave them away, man. Because he barely threw a fucking punch. He gave them away. You know what I'm saying? He's got to not do that shit in the fucking rematch. What else is there out? What else is out there with the boxing world? So some of the latest with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is afraid of this dude, man. He's afraid. You know, what Anthony Joshua is doing, him and Eddie Hearn are doing, is what females do when they don't like other chicks. They start talking really loud and trying to talk over top of you and trying to win it's kind of like demagoguery. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to win the battle of opinions, not the battle of facts. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to win the make fun of you war. You know what I'm saying? Not the actual let's get it done shit. Because while Anthony Joshua keeps making videos and shit and doing interviews and talking all this dumb shit, Deontay Wilder isn't saying anything, and he's actually trying to make the fight happen. They're quiet as kept because they're actually putting in work trying to actually make this shit happen. While Anthony Joshua just keeps talking shit and making fucking bullshit excuses and shit and just like, look, man, shut the fuck up and make the fight. Like, I don't want to hear all this extra shit, bro. I don't want to hear you try to be a fucking marketing genius. You're not a project manager, bro. You're not a manager. I don't care about no marketing shit. And you talking about, I'm trying to give the fans what they want. When you give the fans what they want. Man, if you want to give the fans what they want, take that fucking $50 million, bring your big head ass over here to fucking America, fight Deontay Wilder, let him spark your motherfucking chin out, and be done with it. And you walk away $50 million richer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I watched 7A's video, man, and he was talking about the Anthony Joshua situation where this clown keep talking all this dumb shit. I just want to do it for the fans. I want to do it for the fans and this, that, and the third. So you're willing to turn away $50 million. You know what I'm saying? The $50 million you asked for initially. You asked for $50 million. Because that was the only way you said you would actually fight Deontay Wilder. They come up with the $50 million and that was all these other fucking excuses, bro. Come on, man. This is how you know who the fuck is serious and who's not. Because there are other boxing channels out there, and I'm not going to say their names, but let me get into that real quick, man. Other boxing channels, man. There's a boxing channel out there. It's a pretty animated channel. It's not that big yet. It's pretty animated. The host of the channel is pretty animated. You know what I'm saying? And he's very opinionated. And he's a very arrogant dude, too. You know what I'm saying? He's a very arrogant dude. I left a comment in his comment section and shit, talking about the whole Deontay Wilder thing because he wants to go in on Deontay Wilder's quote-unquote skill level. And I have no arguments with anybody that talks about Deontay Wilder's skill level. It leaves much to be desired. But is he getting better with every fight? Yes. You have to acknowledge that. You can't see that. But here's the thing, though. This all plays to the credit of Deontay Wilder. If his skill set was so horrible, why the fuck does he knock out everybody he steps in the ring with? Because he's been in the ring with fighters who have more experience than him, have a bigger, better amateur background. You know what I'm saying? He's been in the ring with these guys and he flatlined them every time. He stopped them every time. You know what I'm saying? Stopped them every time. I was concerned with the Bermane-Stiverne fight, but when he pulled out the victory, I'm like, okay, he proved something to me. When he fought Bermane-Stiverne again, okay, he proved something else to me. When he fought Luis Ortiz, I thought he had it. I honestly thought Luis Ortiz was going to beat him, not because I don't like Deontay Wilder, but because Luis Ortiz and his skill and his background, his pedigree speaks volumes. And at a certain point in time in the fight, it almost looked like Deontay Wilder was about to go. But just like every other fight, he proved even more to me, and it just made me be on his team even more. Now I know his chin is legit. He can survive in the ring, and he has the will and determination to fight back even when he's hurt. You know what I'm saying? Even when the chips may be down. He didn't run from the conflict. He didn't run from that shit. So, big ups to Deontay Wilder, man. And what I was saying to this dude in his comment section, like, while you're so busy trying to tear the brother down for what he doesn't do well, I don't hear you ever talk about or giving props or praises to the kid for what he does do well. He is the American heavyweight champion. He is the American heavyweight champion. He is the one guy in America that can unify the division. I truly believe that. And if Deontay Wilder was of a different race, nationality, or creed, he'd be getting way more motherfucking props than he does. We all know this shit. If Deontay Wilder was a Caucasian fighter, he'd be a fucking megastar, man. Look at all the Caucasian heavyweights that have come along and have done marginally well, and look at how they get thrust into the limelight. Look at how fucking uber successful they become because they're white, and white America stands behind them. White America isn't standing behind just any boxing champ. They're standing behind the white ones. Look at Vasyl Lomachenko, Gennady Golovkin. Look at all the great fighters that are in the divisions that they fight in that are not Caucasian. And look at how little props they get from the American audience. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I was talking about with this dude. If Deontay Wilder was of a different race, he would be getting more. He would be getting more props than he's getting, and people would be ignoring and overlooking his flaws. You know what I'm saying? But I think this dude just likes to start controversy and shit, kind of like a bitch for real. You know what I'm saying? Not referring to females as bitches. You know what I'm saying? But I think kind of like a chick. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's bitch shit. You know, to just start controversy and antagonize some shit just so you can get attention and shit. That's what children and females do, man. That's sucker shit to me. You know what I'm saying? That's clown shit to me. You know, so I confronted the dude on his channel about that shit. You know, and every time he responded to my comment, the kid he kept misconstruing what I was saying, which led me to believe you're not even reading my comment. You're just skimming through it and looking at certain buzzwords and commenting on the words and not the actual sentence that the word was contained in, which makes you a fucking fool. You're overly opinionated, biased, you know what I'm saying, jackass, on some real shit. Because anybody who believes just because they have an opinion that their opinion is bond, just because you have an opinion and everybody else is right, so that means that you know more than everybody else. You're smarter than everybody else, and you know more about boxing than everybody else. In order for this boxing community shit to fucking work properly, I believe there has to be some humility, man. Or else boxing is going to continue to pump out a bunch of feminine, soft motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, who are just in it for the image and not actually in it to be the best. You know? But that's all I got to say about that, man. And one more thing I'm gonna add to that. And I sub to this dude's channel. You know what I'm saying? Because he does put out useful information, but his bias, he tries to say that he's completely objective, but your bias is showing. Because if you're completely objective, not only would you talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, but you talk about the good also. You don't just rag Deontay Wilder. You don't just rag on him and drag him through the mud and not ever give this man props for anything that he does. Why not talk about the good shit too? If he actually did that, I'd have never had anything to say. But you never do that shit. You never do that shit. But you will defend Vasyl Lomachenko and you will defend Gennady Golovkin. You know what I'm saying? You will defend them. And then not only is he biased, Gennady Golovkin has the nerve to believe that he has a better resume and is a better middleweight champion than fucking Bernard Hopkins. It's fucking laughable because if Bernard Hopkins was fucking 10, 15 years younger, he beat the shit out of Gennady Golovkin. He boxed circles around Gennady Golovkin. On some real shit. He boxed circles around him. Gennady Golovkin is not better than Bernard Hopkins. He does not have a better resume than Bernard Hopkins. He is not a better fighter than Bernard Hopkins. He is not. Plain and simple. Okay, so I'm going to end this video, man. It's already over 20 minutes long. Let me know what you guys think. Leave it in the comment section. This is Ballroom Boxing, man. Like, subscribe the video, and I'm out. Peace.